Steven, I've got the weight of the world of supporting You Can't Disappoint a Podcast on my shoulders, and I thought maybe, just maybe, to lighten the load on my back, we could give our fellow listeners and enjoyers of You Can't Disappoint a Podcast some ways to help us out. What do you think?
Well, I'm not normally in the habit of lightening the load on your back, but, if people want to help us, they sure can. How can they do that, Zach?
The first way is to support us on Patreon. If you like what we do here and want to help us take it further and get all kinds of extra content, give us money at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast.
If you don't want to bear the brunt of our debt, you can appreciate the fruit that we bear to you by going and leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Yelp, Google Chrome podcast reviewer, or whatever you can. And that's going to help us get seen. And the more people see us, the more that we want to be seen, and the more that we see you.
You can also hang out with us on social media every week over on Facebook, Instagram at Can't Disappoint Podcast, and Twitter at You Can't Disapod. Also, go ahead and give a subscribe and thumbs up to our YouTube channel, where we also post the podcast every week.
If you want to hold our hands as we walk down this community memory lane, you should shoot us an email over at can'tdisappointpodcast@gmail.com. You can send us your MVP, your favorite funniest moment, and trivia for the episode we're about to record, and we'll read it live on the air.
Yeah, we don't do the show live, but nice try, buddy. Thanks for supporting us, and let's get into this week's podcast.
You said this was a 2-bedroom.
It is. 1, 2. Yours is a blanket fort.
An awesome blanket fort, but still highly flammable, so no candles.
What do you think?
Tweet it?
Tweeting it!
Welcome everyone back, everyone, boy and girl, young and old, but not too young and not too old.
Gotta be this, can't be this.
Welcome to You Can't Disappoint a Podcast.
More like
That's not normally how I say it. I don't know where that came from.
Disappoint a pod. Cool cats.
I like that. I'm not going to hate on... I'm going to make a conscious effort to be nicer to you when we do this, Steven. Because typically you would say something like that and I'd be like, all right, yeah, you. So let's start the show. So I'm going to try to I'm going to try to put towards effort to treat you like a equal, to treat you like a human being that has feelings. I think I'm going to start a new leaf.
Aw. Thank you.
Is there anything that I do that you want me to if I'm going to be doing this,
You want to go all the way.
Oh, I definitely want to go all the way.
Well, I mean, if you had read any of the letters that I wrote you the last
Give me the Cliff's Notes. Give me if you could compile all 127 of them into one tweet, what would it say?
Here's the main thing is, we do this as an audio podcast, as you keep telling me. But we're on a Zoom call and we can see each other right now. And it's one thing if you flip me off every once in a while or give me a thumbs down. But when you started making posters that you put around your room saying mean things about me.
They're vulgar.
They're really, really obscene.
They're vulgar.
Some of the drawings.
Whenever we do video content, my room is so bare. It's because it's just absolutely covered in anti-Steven hate speech, and not the kind that you would expect or the kind that you would hope.
Yeah, it's somewhere in between.
It's pretty creative, if I do say so myself.
I had to Google some of the words, and boy, is my internet search history ruined now.
Welcome to You Can't Disappoint a Podcast, everyone. What a way to kick off a show. I'm Zach, and it's Monday. On pod, I'm just another Zacular Craig.
Zacular Craig. Hi, I'm Steven, and my window's closed, and I've got 6 cans of paint open right now, so we're going to see how this goes. Hopefully well.
Let me know when the ladies show up.
They've been here for a little while.
Wow,
Zach, I'm being
that's
honest.
nice.
Mm-hmm. They're not the ones Pierce had, though. They're a little more surly and and they give really rough massages.
That could be nice. I feel like I could use
be.
a really rough. I thought you were kind of into that sort of thing.
I thought I was too. They don't respect my safe word.
I want to give a shout out, as always, to our $10 and up patrons at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. Those are Mary Baker Budisa, Danny M. Lugo, and Michelle LaPena. If you'd like to be added to that list, we've got all kinds of fun stuff going on over there every week. And you get the show early. All kinds of fun, right?
Yeah, it's more fun than a pun gun in the sun.
Yes. And of course, I would be remiss if we didn't bring up a man who's been heavy on our hearts this week, our community father at Communities on Twitter. I don't know if you guys heard, but Pop, he's been in the hospital with a severe case of what is it, Steven?
Well, you see, the man who has had more fun in the sun with his pun gun than anyone.
He has birthed
amongst our
he has
puns.
birthed so many thousands of community children that there are certain parts of Dear Pop's body that, we hate to say it, are just f***ing wrecked.
Yeah.
So he's in the
do
hospital.
your public floor exercises, everyone.
Yeah, he's getting the I don't know.
His
He's getting
butthole
the
put
ki-
back
the-
in? I don't know.
He's getting the Ken doll surgery. It's just
it's
just gonna be rounded.
His prolapse has relapsed.
Oh my god.
And as we lapse, we do not laugh.
I didn't think there was any more untapped potential in this, but I think we found something.
Yeah.
Thanks for the support, communities. We're really confused by it.
It's amazing that we're not blocked
Yeah.
by him at this point. 'Cause it's ventured from admiration to something else, and I really don't know what that word is.
No, but it's still definitely with strong admiration.
Yeah.
I mean, that many children on anyone's body is just a marvel of medicine, let alone a cis male.
Mm-hmm. It's very impressive.
So congratulations, communities. Just wanted to give you a shout out.
Our very own special Papa Seahorse.
Let's move into things. What a weird start this has gotten off to, but I'm here for it. How you
I
doing,
like it.
buddy?
I'm good. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
It's always weird to do these introductions because we've been talking to each other for like an hour or more leading up to this, but now it's like, oh man, it's so cool to see you. How's
Zach,
your
you're
week
right.
been?
We have been talking to each other for a while. Where were we doing that?
When we saw each other, or are we plugging the Patreon?
I was plugging the Patreon.
Patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. If you want to see us when we're happy to be seeing each other, that's where that happens every week. But also, Steven and I saw each other in person. It's a rare thing that happens, and we got to have a little hangout sesh this week. Or
We did.
Last week
It
when this comes
was
out.
nice. We played a little Mario Kart.
Yeah.
That was fun. I hadn't played in a long time.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was good to see you. And it was a surprise. I woke up to a really dirty text from Steven, but the heart of it was, I'm going to be in town. Do you have a little bit of free time? And we met up, and it was great. We should have milked it for some sweet content.
I know.
though.
We should have made a tape or something.
Yeah,
Mix or sex,
a
either
tape.
one. Yeah. Musical, whimsical, physical, either kind.
What's new in the dance world?
Nothing much. I've got a competition at the end of next month, just with a student though, because my friends, someone we know is getting married, and so I have
Wow.
to be in the wedding on Saturday, so I can't compete professionally, unfortunately. Actually, there's an event. As people are listening to this, on Wednesday, Danny and I are doing a performance there, but it's like a student thing. It's called Newsome Twosome, and I know that
Gruesome
Zach and I have had
twosome.
some gruesome twosome
Yeah.
experiences. But yeah, so it's a thing where students
We
do
sure
minute-long
did used to
routines.
call ourselves that, didn't we?
Yeah, and we do the
Yeah. I'm really glad people can't see it.
What's new with you, Zach? What's been happening in your neck of the woods?
You know, it's been an annoying week, an annoying and slow week, but I'm glad to have Greendale and that sweet little baby boy face that I'm contractually obligated to be 60 to 90% nicer to on a weekly basis to come to at the end of an annoying week to hang out and think about something fun instead for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my phone was on vibrate, not totally silent. How unprofessional. I'm sorry.
The
So
moment's
Zach, have
dead.
you been watching
Killed it.
anything good this week?
I know you're just saying that because you want to talk about something.
It's
so
absolutely
just do
true.
it. Just say what you want to say.
So I finished a show this week that aired this summer called Odd Taxi. It's an anime. You can watch
Really?
it on-
Anime? I didn't know that you had fallen into that.
I know. I haven't talked about it in a while on the show, so I had to bring it up again. This is a show you guys should definitely watch. It's kind of like a mystery. It's about this taxi driver and kind of some of the people that come in and out of his life because of that. There's a whole mystery where there's a missing like high school girl, and it's really kind of shady, and you're not sure like what happened to her. And it's really good. It's described as like a mystery. Yeah, I'm paraphrasing what I read somewhere else, but it was a good description of it.
I mean, isn't that
they
what
compared
we
it to
all
kind of
do?
Knives Out?
Yeah.
In terms of like the way that it's layered, and it kind of keeps you guessing, but also like the dialogue in it is very, very good, kind of paced in like a Tarantino or like Coen Brothers kind of way. But it's really good. And here's something that I'll say. All the characters happen to be animals, but it's kind of like a BoJack Horseman thing where it's not really important to the story.
Oh no. I really like how you were like, okay, I'm gonna say all the really cool things about this that makes it sound super interesting. And here's the other thing that I like, it's about animals.
I don't
each
know
other,
why
but
every
it's
time I
not that
talk
big of
about a
deal.
show on here, the people are animals, but it's not a thing. I promise. They have so the taxi driver is like a walrus, and it's more so. Whereas in
I'm just
Beastars,
kidding.
you're supposed to think of them as like, okay, this is like a wolf, and that's like a part of it. In this one, it's more so that the animals represent kind of the person.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Obviously,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. BoJack Horseman is a phenomenal show, and it's about animals that have sex with people.
It's true. There is like a very disturbing moment in I think season 4 of BoJack when like Mr. Peanut Butter and Diane are fighting, and she like rips off his shirt, and he's all buff.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the television program Community.
Speaking
No
of shirts
buff
being ripped
animals
off
in
and
this
being
one.
all buff.
I don't think... Does he rip his shirt off in this episode? I think he
No.
just pulls his shirt to show the outline of ab.
Mm-hmm.
Is what we get.
I
in
feel
this
like
one.
it.
We're talking about Season 3, Episode 7. It's Studies in Modern Movement. Hashtag Annie's Move, everyone.
Tweet it. Hashtag Annie's Move.
Tweeting it. It was directed by Tristram Shapiro, who I think might have the most directing credits of anyone on Community. And it's written by Adam County, who previously wrote Aerodynamics of Gender, Intro to Political Science, and after this one, Curriculum Unavailable. And it originally aired on November 10th, 2011.
I
was
really
really-
like...
Oh, no, you go first.
I was going to say I really like Political
Finishing
Science.
each
It's a good
other's
one.
sentences. Yeah, Political Science is really good. The other ones, I don't really remember Curriculum Unavailable. I think that's a good one. But Aerodynamics of Gender was probably in my it might have been in my bottom 5 of season 2.
Surely. What did you think about this week's episode?
Well, before we figure out what we felt about it, let's do some
no.
trivia.
Trivia time.
I was
Act
excited
trivia.
to dive into this one. Oh yeah, what's the flavor of the week? We haven't had an Act Trivia flavor of the week in fortnights.
I know. They some things got lost in the mail, but I just got a big tub of
There was a
Jamie Lee
definite
Curtis juice. And,
FDA thing going on.
Yeah.
Uh,
This week's Act Trivia flavor.
You got to ask for it from the back now. It's not on shelves.
Yeah.
But if you
It's
go
also
into
not
a,
refrigerated.
if you go into a Stuckey's, they got it in the back.
see here.
Just slip them a $5.
Slip 'em a
They got
fiver.
it.
Let's see. Okay, so this week we have a special blended flavor.
Oh.
It's two like kind of leftovers that they just kind of mix together. We've got the 4th of
Economical.
July American flag pocketed jean shorts blended with everyone's favorite.
I'm listening. You got me on the edge of my seat.
Trash bag full of vaccine papers.
Oh. Full of like the cards that people get after they got their
No,
shot.
like the wrap that's around the needle when they like take it off before
Sure.
they stick you with it.
I didn't, do they have a distinct taste?
Yeah.
Well, you just took a little slurp. How is it?
It's thick.
Well, everyone knows that Activia is the only yogurt brand that used to be legally sold in supermarkets that comes complete with fully formed curds.
Well, and it's really interesting because no matter how long I left it in my freezer, it's constantly room temperature, Zach.
Yeah, Trivia's like Twinkies. You know, you put that shit away for a long time anywhere, and it'll be the exact same when you pull the tab. That is, of course, their official slogan. Anyway, let's do some trivia.
Let's do it. I have 4 this week.
I've got 5. In
All
fact,
right.
at a point, I had to say I'm going to stop looking for trivia questions because I'm going to end up with too many.
Wow.
So I'll
Go
give
for
you
it.
2.
Yeah.
Who peed on Britta's car?
Oh, that was my first question. That would be spaghetti.
And also in the opening, what is Jeff doing after this?
What's he doing after?
What are you doing after this?
Oh,
I love the look of defeat.
I don't
on your
remember.
face. It just makes me feel so warm. He's going to do some boot cuts, maybe a blazer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Go ahead and give me one.
What's the name of Jesus' song about race mixing?
I almost used that, but I didn't. It's called Don't You Do It. What magazine term is Shirley worried will rear its head?
Ooh.
Wow. We've been doing so well the last
I know, I
couple
can't
of
remember.
weeks.
What was it?
Schwimmer fatigue.
Schwimmer fatigue. Nice. What is the name of the planet that Horsebot 3000 gets Troy and Annie to in the in tag?
Is that Green Dahlia?
It is Green Dahlia.
What did the boys order at lunch? Steven. I'm so disappointed in you.
I'm so disappointed in myself.
How's the next segment gonna go?
Hopefully better.
Nothing.
Chicken
Think
nuggets?
about it. What? They're at the Mexican
cream?
restaurant?
Oh!
What the? Did Steven watch the episode this week? Go.
You said the
We'll
boys,
get to
and I
it.
was thinking Troy and Abed, and I was like, when the did they go to lunch? But you mean the Dean
For shame.
and Jeff.
Oh my God. You're still not gonna come up with anything. I can feel it.
Jeff ordered for the Dean,
Yes.
and he had something with a cute name. That's all I got.
Jeff will be having a siesta salad and an iced tea, and the gentleman will have a top-notch O's and a watermelon margarita.
Oh.
For shame. And are you out of questions, or do you have?
I have one more.
Okay.
Who is Jeff's fake primary physician?
Because he spells it out.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. I don't remember the name.
Dr. Schroeder.
Oh, I almost said something close to that. I was thinking shh, but I couldn't come up with the whole name. Okay. I have one more question for you. What song does the mariachi band play?
Adios mi amores.
Good job. It sounded Italian for some reason.
It did, because I said adios, and I was like, de mi amores.
Wow, you got 2 out of 5 this week. How did I do on yours?
You got 3 of 4.
I'm excited. We've got a whole deep barrel of trivia from our listeners on the interwebs this week, don't we?
We sure do. We've got several emails here. Let me just go to this one. I'm going to start here. Let's see. This one is from, it's our buddy Nate, once again,
Howdy.
who wrote in
Welcome
last
back.
time. Hi, Nate.
Glad
hey,
you made
guys.
it. How was your
Nate
drive?
Again.
The classic Nate.
That
He
Nate.
would say that. That's so like him.
I love this episode. So many funny moments. Love the
Yeah.
first bit with Jeff because it was so ridiculous or well coordinated. I can't hear that Seal song without cracking up. Did you know they actually sold the hashtag Annie's Move t-shirts? I did not know that. That's nice.
I would absolutely wear one of those loud and proud.
Mm-hmm. I like how this episode addresses the judgmental comments that Shirley makes here and there. My favorite funny moment is when the guy who claims to be Jesus sings his song. I also love that for some odd reason, the Dean changes clothes from his first to his second scene. The second outfit was the exact same as Jeff's, which is hilarious. All around solid episode, and is one of my favorite episodes so far in season 3. Thanks,
could
Nate,
see
for
that.
writing in. And Nate's got 10 questions for us.
Oh shit! Okay, let's do
Hopefully
like
I
a
can
speed
redeem
round.
myself a little bit. What is the first thing that Abed is shown to pack in the episode?
Pass.
What movie does Dean reference when first seeing Jeff?
It's like, but even I have the limit. The Lake House.
Is that what that is?
I think so.
Nice. What types of sheets/blankets make up Annie's room? 2 answers required.
There were 2 Star Wars ones and maybe just like a vaguely space one or a dinosaur. I think I saw dinosaur.
Dinosaurs? Okay,
Yeah.
I saw the Star Wars looking one. What 2 special occasions does Troy mention as being the only acceptable times for bunk beds?
Uncle's funeral, and was it birthday? Was birthday the other one? Or was it something else?
I only remember the uncle's funeral one, so
Okay.
I'm not totally sure. I'll
Okay.
go with birthday. I'll rock with it. Wow, these are kind of tough. What song does Jeff reluctantly request at Senior Kevin's? Adios.
Adios amore.
What did Annie try? I almost said Danny. What did Annie try to hang
Aw.
up in her room?
Like a diploma or an award, because she like pins it to the blanket fort and it tears down. It looked like a diploma or
Maybe it
award
was
or
her high
something.
school diploma.
Yeah.
Who did Troy say was sponsoring the Tale of Princess Annie? That would be the yogurt that Jamie Lee Curtis sponsors. Activia.
Oh, wow, Activia.
Mm-hmm.
There was an R. You got to listen to it.
Yeah.
It's free advertisement. You make it sound just like the real one.
Who did Troy said? Oh, that's what I just read. How did the dean
And we've
know-
got our own celebrity spokesperson that sounds just like Jamie Lee Curtis. We've got Jamie Love Curtis.
Jamie Love Curtis.
No. Jamie Loaf Curtis.
Jamie Loaf.
But you say Jamie Love Curtis, and you're like, oh, wow, that sounds like it might be
Jamie
someone.
Love Curtis.
It's that Activia Spark. Because you've got to be careful with it. It is flammable. It will let off electricity.
It is violently
all the time.
flammable. Does not need a spark to burst into flames. Any
Yeah.
sort of friction on that
Yeah.
bad boy, and it's going up.
Yeah.
How did the dean know Jeff would be at the mall? He read his emails.
Right. His Greendale email.
What does Pierce say when Annie returns to her apartment? Sorry, Annie. I had some island women
I had
over.
some island women over.
What is Jeff's excuse for crying? Must be in the in tag.
I liked Horsepot 3000.
Okay. The first thing Abed packs is a lemon. It
Wow.
was a reference to the lake house. Cars, trains, Star Wars, planes, sports, trees, and moose were the
Okay.
blankets in Annie's room. Sleepovers is in the uncle's funeral.
Oh, sure.
Adios amores. Oh, number 6, she was hanging up the Intercollegiate Debate League thing.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And then what the line that Troy said for Activia was the girl yogurt that Jamie Love Curtis uses to poop.
Jamie Love Curtis.
Then we got number 9. That was the emails. And number what he said to Annie was, I had some island girls over and one of them must have slipped me a Mickey.
Yes, slip me a Mickey.
And then number 10 is he liked Horsepot 3000. Not terrible.
Nice.
I thought he did a pretty good job through that.
I
through the
carried you
first
through
yeah. You carried. Next email from Nate. Again, hello, Nate.
What's up, man? Classic Nate.
Classic Nate.
Nate does this.
This is Nate. My MVP is Britta for helping Annie realize that moving in with Troy and Abed is not going to be perfect, as most things aren't.
Interesting.
Interesting choice.
Good take, Nate.
Okay, next email
What's it gonna
from...
be, Nate again? Because man, he.
You know that Nate
kid.
loves sending emails. Next one's from Peep Review. Hey, Lil.
What's up?
It's Annie. It's hashtag Annie's move. I can't do trivia as I am working today.
Aw.
I'm just a Cregular Joe doing Cregular things. Lil's name on Twitter has been Cregular Joe for a while.
For a while, sure.
I will say my MVP.
what is it? He says Saturday. There's like the people that there's a whole Twitter account that every Saturday tweets the image or the video of it's Saturday. Call me Craig on Saturday on weekends. I'm just a regular Joe. Yeah,
That's
every
cute.
week.
I will say my MVP is obviously Dean Pelton. He's such a creep, but like in a way that doesn't make me feel creepy. So that's okay, right?
Right.
Right. So many solid quotes from this episode that I say a lot and didn't even realize. It was this episode. Jesus loves marijuana. Okay, have a great day, y'all. Sent from Jeffrey's Greendale email. Thanks,
Nice.
Will. Over at Peep Review. Next, Annie's Move from our dad.
What's up?
Hi, guys. I've got
I'm glad
some
that he's able to write
non-epi-
into us as he goes through a long recovery.
I know. Prayers up to Pop.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers.
When I score a touchdown on Sunday, I'm going to do the thing where I, kiss my fingers and then point at the hospital.
He'll be, in the bleachers behind the fence in a wheelchair. And, right when you hit the touchdown, he's finally able to stand up to cheer for you. Oh,
I'm
man.
glad Pa got to see me score my last touchdown.
He tragically dies.
By the time I left the locker room, he had already passed away. They said he rolled out to the parking lot and just went out on his own terms. Hi, guys. I've got some
Dad.
non-episode trivia for this one.
What does that mean?
The show's Twitter accounts for the episode tweeted #Annie's Move when the episode aired, and one of the versions of the episode cut scenes included a helium-filled air couch that Troy and Abed pulled down from the ceiling to sit on. It was pretty wild.
Huh. What does he mean? That aired at a point and they took it out? Or
No, I think it was just a separate thing.
just a deleted scene? Or something that they, tweeted out in addition to the episode?
I think he
Interesting.
just made it all one sentence.
Oh, they were
instead of two.
tweeting moving stuff, so they had little clips and things that they added onto it, maybe. Right? You're looking at me weird.
I don't
You're looking
think
at me
so.
like I'm crazy.
I
What
think
are you
that
saying?
he said that the show's Twitter
Yeah.
tweeted #Annie's Move. Stop.
Yeah.
And one of the versions of the episode cut scenes included a
Oh.
helium-filled air couch that Troy and Abed.
So it's
pulled
like a
down.
storyline that didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I
Don't look at
think
me
it's
like
related
that.
to
I'm
the
a
tweet.
human being.
Also, Ted Lasso's Coach Beard is Hitchhiker Jesus, and Annie's landlord is Bruno Amato, actor and veteran who is running for Congress against Kevin
Wow.
McCarthy. Have
Wow.
a great one. Comedians Matt. Thanks for the
Thanks, Papa.
the poli-sci info. Thanks, Dad.
So I was trying to figure out why Jesus looks so familiar, and I just recently finished the first season of Ted Lasso, and I didn't notice until today that it was the same guy, because I know that guy. I've been
That's
watching him
cool.
in something recently. But yeah, he's really good in that show.
Where do we put Jesus in our tier list that we did a couple weeks ago on the Patreon?
I don't remember. He might have been low B tier.
I think so. He must have been C.
It's because of the race mixing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I did bump him up a little bit. Trivia.
Oh.
What is the name of Jeff's fake doctor? That was Schroeder.
Dr. Schroeder.
Why did Britta's
SCH.
friend fall out of Anne Frank's home?
He was on too many mushrooms, but the drugs made his neck floppy enough so he didn't break it.
And then where was Hitchhiker Jesus going?
I
know
don't
the name of the
remember that.
place. Yeah. Oh, answers. Here we go. Dr. Schroeder ate too many mushrooms, and Riverside Falls was the destination.
Okay.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Pops.
Okay, we've got an
Get
email
well soon.
from Will Starshack.
Okay, that sounds new.
Yeah,
I think
hi,
that's
Will.
a new
Thanks.
friend. Hi, Will. Classic Will.
MVP.
Star Shack? I'm sorry. Did you say Star Shack?
Yeah.
Is that just spelled how it sounds?
Yep.
Is he like a cosmic superhero? Is
That'd
he
be
like
cool.
Is he like the
Will Starshack is
He's
Starshack. Wednesday
He's
is
like
on
the
CW.
5-star Dollar General or $5. I meant $5 Dollar General, like Guardians of the Galaxy sort of movie that they have, that a parent who doesn't quite know what Marvel means picked up for their kid that likes Iron Man.
Look what I found in the bargain bin.
You
Junior.
like Will Starshack and the Cosmic Kids. Beautiful name, Will, if that is real.
Will says
Yeah.
MVP, Dean or Jesus? What's the difference? Funniest moments. Kiss from a whoa.
Is that how he wrote it out? That's classic Star Shack.
Oh, thanks, Cobra Starshack. Funniest moments. Kiss from a Rose montage at the end, of course.
Totally.
And I'm just a regular Joe.
We all
Love
are.
the show.
Thanks. I don't know if he will anymore.
I don't know
I hope
if
so.
Will means our show or Community, but I hope
Star Shack, baby Star
Star Shack.
Shack.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star shine.
Come on. We've got... Come on. I mean, yes, Steven, I will encourage your bit. I think you should go where it leads you.
We've got another email. It's from Danny. Hi, Danny.
What's up?
She says, hello. Hope y'all are having a great day so far.
Did you spell it like that, or did you throw a little spin on it?
No, that's how she spelled it.
Okay.
Well, that's how she wrote it, but I know that's how she says it, so that's what she was writing there.
Cute.
Hello. Hope y'all are having a great day so far. Sorry for my not so great structured questions. Just woke up from a nap and I'm still halfway asleep. Biggest laugh for me was Abed's delivery of what did I say? How do you say it? Clearly I'm no Danny Pudi, but he's like, what did I say? When Annie is talking about the throw pillows, LOL. Anyway, here are my questions. Yeah, with Shirley, that was really funny.
And Shirley's like, it tells a big story.
Yeah, it does. There was a whole thing that went down.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the name of the fake doctor that gets announced at the store? Dr.
Schroeder. No. Announced at the store is Dr. Tabloikian or
something like that.
Something weird in radiology. Mm-hmm. That was really funny.
Pierce said easy peasy blank and blank. Was it George and Wheezy?
Easy peasy George and Wheezy, something like that. It was like I don't know if that's a real like old-timey celebrity he's referencing, or it was like he was trying to do the celebrity name joke that everyone else does but couldn't quite do it.
Yeah. What kind of hats were hanging on the coat rack by the apartment store?
Whoa.
I don't know.
Pass.
What song did Jeff request from the mariachi? Adios amores. What are some of the things Troy and Abed asked Annie help with?
Where the water goes in the iron and what it does.
What the iron is for, yeah, and how to get out Kool-Aid stains. We already checked and noticed that it wasn't the opposite color.
Kool-Aid.
Biggest of hugs, Danny. Well, thanks, Danny. Big hugs to you, too.
Don't smother us. That's pretty... The biggest of possible hugs. It sounds a little tight. It sounds a little conflicting. Thanks for writing in, everyone. Is that everyone, or do we got
That's everyone.
More?
Those are
that
all.
That was great. That was awesome.
Letters written in blood and tears that we requested.
Yeah. Classic Will.
Classic StarCraft.
Thanks, everyone, for writing in this week. This was a fun episode to do these with. And next week, we're doing a really special episode, documentary filmmaking. I don't know, redux, redo? How do you say that? So if you want to write us in some trivia, episode MVP, and favorite funny moments from that one for next week's show, send that into can'tdisappointpodcast@gmail.com. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Steven, you dropped so many of my balls that I tossed over to you during trivia. And now the spotlight's on. Mm-hmm. We're going to see if you really paid attention this week, and do you feel like you did?
Did you know that Neo wrote the song Spotlight by Jennifer Hudson?
Is Neo, did he like do some bad shit? Did he beat someone up or something?
I hope not. I don't think so.
I hope not too.
Yeah, I think he's still a judge on World of Dance.
Okay, then probably not. What?
He wrote Spotlight by Jennifer Hudson.
World of Dance? What is that on?
I think it's on NBC, but it's like here's the thing. People really like the show, and the dancing is great on it, but I hate all the judges that are not Neo, because it's J-Lo and Derek Huff, and I don't really care for either of them that much.
That's how I feel about shows like America's Got Talent. Mm-hmm. There's so many things about it that are fake and contrived that as I get older are harder to overlook, but then every now and then there's a performance that's genuinely like awesome or funny or spectacular. But, okay, so this season... they filmed the auditions with like a very small COVID audience, like very small.
Okay.
But they edited the episodes to make it look as if they've got a completely packed house.
Oh no.
That's giving like standing ovations and screaming and like booing and stuff like that. And they said they like used pre-recorded footage based off the responses of the people that were there to like build the reactions and stuff. And at first people were like, do they have an audience that's full with no masks? And then everyone was like, wait, that looks fake as shit. And it looks fake as shit. And it makes the whole show feel like a simulation.
That's trash.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to find out as a country. Did Steven watch the episode?
Watch the episode.
This week.
week.
My phone broke, so I gotta catch my laurels. But
You can just count.
don't get too comfy.
You can just
Okay,
count.
Steven, you've got 20 seconds as always. Studies in modern movement. Let's see what you got. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hashtag Annie's move. Everyone's going to help except Jeff because he's at the store and he's faking sick. Dean's there too. They have an adventure together, or Dean's going to tell. There they go. Annie's worried because Troy and Abed are young and Britta freaks her out. Pierce states he's going to fix the wall because he used to be a slumlord, but his paint, then he trips balls. Then they go to Troy and Abed's house and there's a dreamatorium, and Annie can't have a room because there's a dreamatorium there. Then they eventually make it her room anyway, but they actually make their room her room.
You did a lot. The thing that kind of turned me off in the beginning was you said Annie's upset because Troy and Abed are yelling. I feel like
I said children.
Our children. I heard yelling. I could have misheard you. It was fast. I don't know. I feel like you could have done a little more with Annie and Troy and Abed, but you did pretty well. I think recently I gave you as high as an A-. I don't think I can go that high on this one.
No.
I think, I don't know, I'm borderline B or B+, and I'm trying to be 20 to 23% nicer to you, so I'm going to bump it up to a B+.
Woo, woo, woo. Hashtag Annie's move.
What did you think? What were some funniest moments for you from this episode?
I think the karaoke montage, I laughed really, really hard.
Not just the karaoke, like everything, how it all flows together and the music behind it. It was a standout from Ludwig.
Yeah,
really
that was
cool.
great. I also really enjoyed the Abed line as well that Danny mentioned.
Yep.
That was really funny. And then just everything that the Dean did this whole episode was pretty hilarious. Every mannerism, every line.
A great standout for Jim Rash this week. And he's always standing out, but this one was a standout.
Yeah.
Let's see, for me, the couple of things that I wrote down were Jeff ordering for the Dean, and the way that, like, the Dean looks at him and is like, when he does it, and then Jeff says, the gentleman, and then he's like, oh, like, he wasn't expecting it, even though it's very clear that he, like, made him say exactly this. And my other one was that when Pierce was tripping out and thought he was playing the piano with Hair and the Hula Girls, how the logo of the paint brand was on the wall
sign?
as a neon sign. I just thought that sequence of this episode, and almost that moment especially, felt like something truly transcendent from this episode.
It was great.
What a cool sequence.
Yeah, that was really good.
That's what I got. Let's talk about it. What did you think of this week's episode?
Also, I'm going to have to knock myself down to a B, maybe
why?
B-, because I didn't even mention Britta and Shirley and Jesus.
Oh, you sure didn't. Wow, thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
But I can't change a grade after it's been given. But you'll know in your heart that was not earned for once.
Well, because I couldn't remember. That's why I was kind of fumbling towards the end.
Sure.
I couldn't remember who had a little offside.
Always fumbling towards the end. And now you're just yawning. God. You okay? That came out, buddy. Didn't get your nap in today?
No, not yet.
So you liked it? You didn't like it? All of that was your response to what did you think of this week's episode?
I did really like the episode. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite episode of the season, but I think that it was in the top half for me for sure.
I really liked this episode, and I was really excited to revisit it because I remembered the Annie's Move storyline, and honestly, I think maybe I forgot that Jeff and the Dean at the mall was this one, but I knew that it was Shirley and Britta and Jesus in this one. So I really enjoyed it. I think it's a little bit of an uneven episode.
Yeah.
But I do think it's also kind of back to using all of the characters pretty well within one episode, and also in a different way than usual. It's not like they're all together doing something and they use all of them really well. There's some real defined A, B, C plots, and they use all the characters really well. It's a super standout for Jim Rash. There's only a handful of moments that don't work super well for me. I think Chevy has some lines that fall pretty flat. I think Britta and Annie have... I don't know. It's not a favorite, but I might like it. It might be a little higher on my list so far than what you've just said. I don't know. What's at the top right now would be like Remedial Chaos Theory. For you, I think advanced gay and competitive ecology were like the top 3.
Yeah, and I'd say this is probably...
I like this one probably better than advanced gay.
I like
I think
I like advanced gay better than this one, but I think that I like this one maybe more than ecology, but it's close.
And I'm like backwards. I'm flip-flopped for you on all the decisions with advanced gay and competitive ecology. I like competitive ecology, but this one probably right below it. I don't know. I thought it was a good episode. Yeah. Again, it's one of those episodes we've been kind of having recently that isn't exactly a statement of an episode. It's kind of just a episode of what the characters are going through, and then it gets so weird that it kind of becomes something bigger than that. But it's a noteworthy episode because it's probably the first time that we don't get not the first time, but nothing in this episode has anything to do with Greendale, really. No. We've seen them at like the party at Troy and Abed's apartment, but we don't see them, or like at Jeff's place sometimes. But we don't see them often, just like their weekend lifestyle and the places that they're going and how they're interacting, and especially with the dean. And I think that's a real strength of this episode. I think they do that really well.
It is. I think every time we normally see them outside of Greendale, they're all together in one place. But here we get so many different places.
Yeah, like Jeff's storyline, even though he ends up with the study group at the end and there's the like reason why he's not with them, is kind of a completely contained thing of his own of what he's off doing on his day off of school. Let's hop into it. I was pleasantly surprised by it, but I didn't think it was exactly perfect. I'm excited to see how it's going to hold up like under scrutiny, you know. Seeing Annie move out of that really shitty apartment, I think, is a nice thing for the series because it's something we've seen a lot, and we've seen Annie grow up, and it's nice to see her move on to something different, even if it is moving in with someone else. That's often what it is when you kind of move out of a bad situation. You find some people to move in with. It reminded me a lot of Lily and I moving out of the place we lived in before we live right now. It was a really cute apartment, but it was a sketchy street, and there was constant activity. There was a night where we heard gunshots, and there were like our street was like 3 houses on each side, this tiny little street, like tiny street, and there were probably 9 cop cars like lining up the entire street.
That takes up like that whole street.
Yes,
that was really
and
small.
like on the ends too. And it was probably like 10 or 11 at night, and we heard like drop it, put it down, and like shit like that. And Lily and I were just like terrified. But also like looking through the window to see what was happening.
Well, it's also nice because like your new place that you're at now, I'm sure one of the best things about it is you don't have to like hide the fact that you have an animal there.
Yeah, that was a big stress. That was one of the main reasons for moving out. We weren't supposed to have the cat that we had. Yeah. And the cat was loud, and we couldn't let her be loud, and it kept us annoyed. But that's not what this is about. Well, you can only
stuff the cat's mouth full of socks so many times before you start feeling bad.
Yeah. You run out of socks to stuff yourself with. That's never fun.
I am constantly stuffed with socks, Zach. I think that's something you should know by now.
But I really liked seeing that from Annie. I think this is it's good bones for a Annie-centric episode, and this one kind of is an Annie-centric episode in some ways. And it gave me some nostalgia towards moving. I hate moving, though.
Well, I'm going to have to do it here in like a month, so.
Do you have a lot of stuff, or have your moves been relatively small?
Pretty small and easy because I have stuff that I can compact.
Sure.
I don't have like a lot of furniture.
Yeah,
I have,
that's what
sucks. My really big desk and my bed, and that's about it.
When we moved here, it was miserable. We had people help us load the U-Haul to bring over here, but then everyone kind of had to leave, and we have a decent amount of furniture, like beds and couches and chairs and dressers and stuff like that. And Lily and I had to bring all of it up on the same day by ourselves, and it was miserable. And it makes, even though moving is kind of exciting because it's cool to be in a new place, it makes me never want to move my shit ever again.
Definitely. It's like, sucks when you're doing it, but I like that feeling once you get there and you're like, nice. This is my...
Oh, yeah, the night when we were finally here, and all of our shit is just like standing in boxes all over the place, and we're sitting on the couch that's just in the middle of a room, like that deep breath after moving everything. I think we ate some Taco Bell, and then you're like, all right, this is our place now. Yeah, it's a cool moment, but man, I hate the work behind it. So let's talk about the conflict here, because Britta brings it up pretty much right away. Troy and Abed are really silly which when you're in a study group with them is really fun, but is it gonna get on Annie's nerves because she, loves that about them, but Annie's not exactly, as this episode goes into, she's not exactly the most easygoing person in the world.
Totally.
So how is she going to react to that? Because Troy and Abed truly seem to be like this all the time when they're together. I think it's a really good thing to build a normal episode of Community around. I really like the conflict here.
I do too, because I think it's a realistic one that Annie wouldn't have thought of right away and that Britta would immediately think of. So I think that's realistic.
And of course, then Annie can't help but feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And Troy and Abed, I don't know. I really love this episode. It doesn't hate on Troy and Abed in any way for being the way that they are, but you also totally understand what Annie's going through, and it uses her in a way that's not just her being overbearing and annoying and childish. I feel like it's a really good Annie's growing up story and the things that she's starting to notice as a woman, and if she wants to live with that or not. You know what I mean? I think this is a pretty standout episode for Annie when I've been given a lot of reasons personally in the last season or so to not like Annie all that much.
It's true.
Maybe it's
you've been really
there's
hard on Annie.
No Jeff and Annie in the entire episode. Maybe that has something to do with it.
That's the secret.
Because it's very rare that Annie gets a standout episode that doesn't at least somewhat hinge on her and Jeff. It happens in Celebrity Pharmacology with the drug awareness play, and I love that episode. It's one of my favorite Annie episodes. But often she doesn't get a standout episode that's just her as a character. Mixology Certification is a good one, and that doesn't really have anything to do with her and Jeff. So I like to see this for Annie.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I feel like all of the jokes that Pierce gets in this episode until they leave him on his own are real softballs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm starting... this must be the beginning of there being Chevy friction on set, don't you think?
Yeah, at least the beginning of it becoming a problem.
Yeah, something that did make me laugh is first when Britta finds out that Jeff is sick, she goes, "Shaw." And then when Pierce finds out, he also goes, "Shaw." And it was just a weird word that I thought was funny, the way they both delivered it. Mm-hmm. And that prompts Britta to call Jeff to see what's really up. And Jeff has got this mastermind operation going on at a clothing store where he is able to build up this ruse that he's in the hospital, and the people who work at the store, specifically this one woman, goes along with it and helps him. What do you think of the sequence? Do you think it's too much, or do you think it's awesome?
I would say I think it's awesome.
I think it's awesome.
It's kind of funny. It's pretty douchey, but it is somewhat impressive that he got her to do this.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost
and he had to plan ahead of time. He had to walk, be like, "Hey, listen, my friends are gonna call me and ask me this, so I need you to do this."
Well, that makes me think that he must spend a shit ton of money at this place.
Yeah.
That he's this familiar with the people that work there.
And
he's gonna buy a shit ton of stuff. So they're like, "Yeah, we'll do that. No one else is shopping here right now."
Yeah.
I thought it was really funny. It's very Dennis Reynolds of Jeff.
It's
even
super
to the
Dennis.
looking at his abs through his shirt while he pretends to be sick on the phone. I thought Joel sold all of this really well. The beep of the price scanner was a nice touch.
Great.
I thought it was built really well and that it was played off very well. And I even love, and we'll get into it later, I love the way that this ends up tying into the story in the end when it's revealed that he's faking sick. That it's not really, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, okay. We accept that." So that he put all of this effort into it when he could have just said, "I don't think I want to make it," is really funny to me. It's not exactly the best set of jokes to cut to the theme song, though.
Yeah.
Usually the show has a killer joke, and then you're in the theme song and you're smiling. It was just his thing about maybe trying on a blazer. I don't know. It's also kind of Job of him.
It is.
I've been watching through Arrested Development again over the last couple weeks, and we just started season 3, and man, I love that show. Season 3 of Arrested Development is one of the most bonkers seasons of television I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The first couple seasons are really silly and cartoony at times, but they have some semblance of being in the real world. It's just this family's crazy. But then in season 3, there's a city in California has a street called Wee Britain where Chinatown, they pretend it's England, and it's on British time, and it's a real
For
thing.
British eyes only.
Or Tobias, played by David Cross, who is bald, gets thousands of really primitive and painful looking hair plugs in his head so he can look like Will Arnett for a magic trick. And it looks horrifying. It's like scattered and patchy,
There's blood
bloody.
everywhere. Yeah.
And then he does the trick with Job, and it ends up that like they decide to use Job's dad instead. So Tobias has to shave all the painful hair plugs off of his head, and they show him in. Sorry about this tangent, but they show him in like the barber's chair with these awful plugs, and the barber's just like getting ready and takes the comb to touch his hair, and he just and it's so horrifying looking, and it's so funny. God, I love that
It's great.
show. The first 3 seasons of that show are damn near untouchable.
Yeah.
And there are some parallels, I think, that you could draw. Arrested Development led to a lot of shows, and Community is definitely one of those shows.
Mm-hmm.
After the theme song, we get the bit with the tape. It's frustrating to Annie, but it's a very, very funny visual that Troy and Abed used all of Annie's packing tape to tape Troy up to the door. And Troy's smile as he hangs there, it was really funny.
And I love the setup where, like, you know, they were like, okay, it's going to be really funny. Abed, just act like you don't see me. And then Troy's just waiting for, like, some sort of response.
Annie's mad they used all the tape, and Troy says, I had a big breakfast. I thought that was funny. But it made me think of how much, for Donald Glover, the actor, it must have sucked to get put in however they did that.
Yeah, that would probably
That must
not
have
be
been
fun.
terrible.
It's probably really hot.
We get a hallway scene with Britta and Annie once Annie kind of realizes that maybe what Britta brought up is actually going on, and she might get annoyed with Troy and Abed. This is one of maybe 2 or 3 bits in the episode that I thought felt a little forced or flat or
This is
boring.
definitely more like exposition than they need here. I don't think that they needed an entire scene where they talk about it. It could have been just as simple
Yeah.
as Annie looking at Britta, and that tells you.
And none of the it's like a whole like minute and a half or so scene, and there's not a ton of funny jokes in this moment. One thing that I do like, though, is that this is a great episode for Alison Brie.
Yeah.
I think she's playing all of Annie's emotional beats off really well, even to the point of her deciding to try to like lay low and be calm. I don't know, the way that Annie is so uptight with moving and with her place, I can have some stuff like that, and Lily can have some stuff like that, and I feel like when we're trying to chill out, we can have some stuff kind of similar to how Annie's like, okay, I'm not chill, but I'm going to try to appear to be chill. So I like the way that she played that off. I thought it came through really well.
Totally.
And it's always good to see a scene that features Gillian prominently, because they don't happen a lot, but... Britta doesn't really have a lot of bearings in this episode, honestly. I guess she does with the Shirley scene, but
Yeah.
I almost feel with the Shirley subplot, but I feel like Britta is one of the characters closest to being underserved in this episode.
Yeah, I feel like she has an important role in the episode, but I don't think she gets very many like jokes early
Sure.
on, especially. I mean, like you said, she does a few with the Shirley stuff, but even then, it's more so just like playing up to her character as opposed to actually making jokes.
They walk back into the apartment to Abed's head being wrapped so large in bubble wrap, and what is Troy hitting it with, like a
tennis racket or something?
Really funny. And of course, it drives Annie crazy because that's all of her bubble wrap, and she's trying to just let it all slide off. What kind of person are you?
Was this an intentional like referential episode to like on Friends when they were moving and they had like the thing with the bubble wrap where they wrapped all around them and hit them with the baseball bat, and so Annie's kind of playing the Monica in this one?
I don't remember that, and I feel like that's not the type of thing Dan Harmon would be knowingly referencing unless it was a little more gregarious, right? So
I don't know.
Maybe,
I feel like it's a
maybe
pretty
trope, or maybe a writer. Maybe it wasn't.
That
maybe a
must be
writer
it.
kind of snuck it in. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I
Sorry,
wanna
so what
know-
kind of person am I?
Yeah, what kind of person are you? Are you the Annie in this situation, or are you more than likely like the Troy and Abed in this situation?
I was really efficient when I moved. I get my stuff packed up pretty easily, and I'm like, okay. Then
Well, I mean more as like in a living situation. Are you the one who gets on? Are you the one who gets on the nerves of the people that you're living with and maybe don't realize it, or are you the one who's really annoyed all the time by the people that you live with?
I'd
Or
say
both?
I'm more the Annie in that way.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
I think I can be too, but I also think I can be pretty annoying. I've had some bad neighbors.
Mm-hmm. That's yikes. I believe it.
And they totally disrespect Annie's place that she's moving out of when they break her pluggy thingy, as she says it. Annie just tries to play it off like she's playing everything off, and Pierce basically comes up and says that he'll fix it so they can give Chevy something to do, be slightly silly, and so no one else has to share a scene with him. Right?
They really do just kind of put him here by himself, don't they?
Yeah. He says, easy peasy George and Wheezy here. Is that what we said?
Mm-hmm.
Troy and Abed leave to put the last stuff in the car, and Annie helps to micromanage them. Shirley has a funny bit here.
She does say I've seen enough friends.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Maybe it was a reference.
You're right. Shirley has the Schwimmer fatigue line here, which I thought was really funny. And there's a nice little button on what I guess some of their storyline is going to be for this episode when Shirley says someone has to be the moral compass of this group, and Annie's like, and by that you mean your religion. I thought it was a nice little piece of like conflict between these characters who are pretty different from each other, but are around each other a lot. That Shirley maybe has moral superiority issues because of the religion she has.
Well, and I feel like they in season 2 and season 1, both of them paired Shirley and Britta a couple times, and it's kind of been a building thing that they like each other and they want to get along, but there's that hurdle that they still haven't gotten over. Yeah.
I also really liked that Pierce agrees to give Shirley a ride, and Shirley gets out of there as fast as she can.
Yeah.
And to think of how much better things would have gone for Pierce if she had stayed. And now we're into the subplot that's probably one of the most infamous subplots of the entire series. We've had so many little hints at the dean just being infatuated with Jeff and being a little touchy with him. And this episode, more than any episode before, makes a real meal out of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of shows would do something like this and be hard to like go back to the status quo after it, but I think they do a really great job here of letting Jim Rash shine. And Lil put it a right way. He does stuff that's so creepy, but for some reason it plays as so funny.
Yeah.
Maybe just because the dean is so harmless.
I think that's what it is it's very much the dean just has this like huge crush on Jeff, and he's not making him do anything necessarily bad. He's just making him spend time with it.
And the way that they perfectly pair it up to where Jeff has no option.
Yeah.
After he just really committed to that lie, but to go along with what the dean says. The dean does blackmail him here. He may be harmless, but that's one thing that's like a little bit darker than Craig usually goes. But it's his only chance. And I mean, he orchestrated the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which also adds up to why it's so funny at the end that nobody cares that Jeff was sick in the first place. And he's done all of these things to get out of them knowing that. But the dean blackmails him and says that he'll get a hold of the group because he's following them on Twitter. Troy and Abed are tweeting everything, #Annie's Move, which was a ploy to get people to tweet about the show. And from what I understand, it worked pretty well, and a lot of people were tweeting about the show.
That's awesome.
And this was kind of, I don't know, live tweeting what you're watching is a huge thing, and this was like the beginning of the dawn of that, I feel like. Not just Community itself, but like this era of television.
Was when they'd have like people from the show live tweet along with you. I remember that, and that was cool.
I mean, they still do stuff like that, but it was beginning to start, and there would be like, on NBC, there'd be like #Dean says what at like certain parts of the show because they wanted you to like engage with the show. And
then they'd like show a couple tweets at the bottom of the screen sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen some friends get their tweets shown on screen of Big Brother before.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. The dean here, like, checkmating Jeff at every turn, getting him to hang out with him, and then ending it up with that, if we're doing lunch, and then a so long slurp of his drink. You know what? I heard from the commentary that they did such a good job with. They looped that footage of the dean slurping to make it an even longer, more uncomfortable sip.
That's impressive.
And they did a really good job of it because I think how long it goes does make it even funnier. Shirley and Annie now are driving. I assume they're driving some of Annie's stuff to Troy and Abed's apartment, and they're still kind of having the same discussion / argument that they started.
What other car are they taking? Or maybe Annie must just have a moving truck. Is the other thing. Because I don't think that Troy, or Abed have a car.
Troy and Abed say, I think that's about the last we can fit in our car.
Oh yeah, they do.
Now
have a
they
car.
might be saying our car, meaning the thing that we rented to haul stuff, but they do say our car.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say, it's funny how they have stuff filling their car except for where someone will sit because they have to block the scene in a way to leave room for the guy they're about to pick up.
Yeah.
So they're fighting over religion a little bit, and Britta's kind of trying to prove that even though she's not religious, that she still has moral values and that she'll take care of people and that she loves people. So for probably the first time in her life, she agrees to pick up someone on the side of the road that's looking for a ride. And it brings in, I've already forgotten his name, but the guy
Jesus. Oh, the actor, I see.
The guy who plays this hitchhiker has kind of had his little bits showing up in things here and there. And then in Ted Lasso, he's like one of the 4 or 5 main characters, I would say.
That's awesome.
And he's really good in it. So it's nice to see him get a breakthrough in this show that's been such a runaway success. I like Ted Lasso. It's really cute and wholesome.
Yeah, I need to watch it.
In a way that doesn't ever feel like it's being spoon-fed to you. It feels like a genuine, wholesome show. And it's a sports show, and I don't give a about sports, but I enjoy that aspect of it too.
I have a question, Zach. Are you the type of person that would pick up a hitchhiker?
No.
Yeah, me neither. Absolutely not.
I'm probably the type of person that if I had some cash burning a hole in my pocket and I passed the right person, I guess not the right person, but like if I was in the right mood and I passed a person asking for money, I would do that. And there have been times in the past where I don't want to virtue signal over here. There have been times when I have bought food for a homeless.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think I could just pick someone off the side of the road and drive them around. It's not quite the same as being an Uber driver.
Exactly. And I think the chances of murder are far too high in my book.
I mean, that is how you and I met.
Well,
And
yeah.
after that time, I knew I would never do that again.
Well, because here's the problem is that we were both hitchhiking and we both got picked up by the same very large man driving a very large truck. And we don't talk about what happened after that, but the bond that we share can never be broken, even if we wanted it to.
There's some things we can never say, but we both hear loud and clear.
Yeah. Still feel a couple of them.
That's not quite where this hitchhiker situation goes, but it does go pretty far. And the way that they structure this B or C plot, I guess this would be the C plot, is pretty funny. The way at first he says something along the lines of like, I can see how kind you both are. You must both be Christian. I assume you've accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And Shirley gets a checkmate, and it's a really nice moment. But it goes a completely different direction when we go back to them. And I think that's really funny. We get the first caveat of Pierce on his own trying to fix up some stuff in Annie's apartment. He sets off a wire or something that catches light, and it creates like a maze type pattern leading from the electrical outlet to one of the lamps, and it's really nasty. And Dan said on the commentary that this is totally the type of thing that he put in there because his parents were calling him and Chevy was calling him to tell him that he was using Chevy wrong. So he wrote this little Griswoldian thing where Chevy's trying to fix up a house and it goes awry.
That's hilarious.
So Chevy would like shut up.
His parents called him and said, "You're using Chevy wrong?"
Yeah. And
That's
then he said
so funny.
His parents called him after this one. They were like, "Oh, we love that so much."
Ha!
Troy and Abed welcome Annie into their apartment and they give a quick tour. And another conflict arises when it's pretty quickly clear that there's not a full bedroom for Annie in the apartment and that they've built a blanket fort chivalrously but totally absent-mindedly, right? They've built her this blanket fort for her to use as a room, and Annie has trouble reacting to it the right way.
Which I think is pretty reasonable on Annie's end.
Absolutely.
Because they said we have a 2-bedroom, and then you show up and it's a blanket for it.
Yeah,
I'd be pretty pissed.
It is a 2-bedroom.
It is.
Sure, we all love the Dreamatorium, but yeah, Troy and Abed are, I don't know, they're a little, I don't know, it's very inconsiderate, but it's because in their heads they're thinking more of like living with Annie is going to be like having a sleepover with our friend all the time.
Exactly.
They don't really think of it that way, but it is that way, and it's selfish of them to keep the room. So do Troy and Abed share bunk beds?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. And the blanket fort's cool. There's some structural integrity. They have some stuff to hang the blankets, but it's not a room. And Annie does tell them to tweet it, so they take a really strained photo of her, and that's one of the first act breaks. I really like this episode, the way that it uses Allison Brie so much. I feel like Allison is all over this storyline and all over pretty much every storyline but Britta and Shirley. She ends up pretty involved with the Pierce storyline. And I think she shines close to as much as ever on the show in this episode.
I think so. I think it's a great Annie episode, and I think it's a great Annie episode, like you said, where she's not dependent on Jeff. Yeah. And I was thinking, even in mixology certification, even in that one, there's still a little bit, because that's not too far after she and Jeff had their whole thing at the end of season 1.
Sure.
And at that time, Jeff and Britta are hooking up.
Right.
And
yeah, you're
Annie,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even in that one, Jeff is still tied into it. So I really love that Jeff has very little to do with what's actually with Annie's decision making in this episode.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that. And Allison Brie sells everything that she's given. I think she probably got this script and was really excited. She's all over it. What was I thinking? The Annie is even more off-put because Troy and Aved put the TV for the apartment in Annie's room. So not only is it in the middle of the living room, it's also where Troy and Abed are always going to be watching TV.
And you know that Troy and Abed's thoughts were, oh, let's put this here so that when we're watching TV, we can still hang out with
she'll
Annie.
Watch it with us anyway, and it's a blanket.
It's so
fort. It's
innocent,
cool.
and it's so sweet, but it's not at all what you'd want if you're moving in somewhere.
They did a good job. Like a worse show, something like a Big Bang Theory with Sheldon would have done a worse storyline about the things that make Annie annoyed about living with them. They would have gone over the top and made the characters act in a way that they don't normally act to be annoying. And I feel like it's pretty in tune that Troy and Abed's intentions are always great. They're always kind and trying to be thoughtful in their own silly way, but they are a little they're in a little bubble together, and it's hard for them to see out of that bubble sometimes. So I like the way that they build this conflict a lot. And that it builds to like them living together and it being a good thing is all the more wholesome. We get the first little hint of the Dreamatorium where there's this door and they say it's not another bedroom. It's kind of a linen closet. What is a linen closet? But it's funny. Like the secret. It's a trope that's in a lot of things. But the secret door that Annie's not allowed to open. It's like Chekhov's gun. You know, you put a door in the first half of the episode. It's going to get opened in the second half.
Which could also be a Friends reference, because in the apartment there's that one door of Monica's that's, she says, the linen closet, but in reality it's like a junk closet with all the stuff.
Yeah.
I think there was an intentional Friends reference in this episode, Zach.
Okay. I'm not saying.
Hey, Zach, impossible. I think there was an intentional Friends reference in this episode.
You're lucky I'm trying to be 12 to 17%
I'll be there
nicer
for
to you.
you when the rain starts to pour.
It would have been funny if Jeff and the Dean sang that song.
That would be really cute.
And had like the fountain in the background.
Do you remember when I worked at a grocery store?
Absolutely. I got your discount a couple times.
Yeah. They would play that entire song all the time.
It's a certified banger.
Yeah,
Top
there's
of the charts.
Several verses.
And I think there's a bridge.
Yeah.
Every moment we get to spend in the Jeff and Dean storyline is great, and the whole sequence in the Mexican restaurant is also great. The way that Jeff is just so blank-facedly trying to get through this nightmare that's happening to him, but the Dean is literally controlling him in such silly ways, telling him to order specific things for him in a certain way so he looks cool in front of the waiter, and asking him to have the mariachi band play music for them, and the
so
Dean trying
funny.
to like make small talk and him just shooting it down at every turn. It's really, really funny. And sure, Joel is kind of the straight man in this situation, so Jim gets all the attention and he's so funny in it. But I think Joel holds up very, very well in these scenes too. That I don't know, you can just tell that they're having so much fun acting off of each other in this situation.
I like where he's like, and I suggest you get into it because that counts. I really like watching the trumpet player here when they're waiting for him to tell what song to play. He's just licking his lips and like getting ready to play, but it really made me laugh the whole time.
Oh, what a surprise. And then the beautiful shot that like pans out on them, seeing the other tables, focusing on them is great. And then of Pierce's storyline by himself, we're back there now, and this is where things do start getting a little funnier. The window is being held up by like a piece of wood, like one of those paint stirrers type things, and it's just barely holding the window open, and Pierce immediately dumps a huge bucket of white paint all over the floor, tries for like 2 seconds to scrape a tiny bit of it back in, and then he just starts spreading it all over the floor. It's clearly a cheap and hazardous paint brand, and Pierce is in for a fun night.
Yeah, I hadn't connected how like Griswoldian that whole thing was, but it's hilarious.
It
Very,
sure is.
very family vacation.
I have to say something. I've never done it when we're around other people, but I need to tell you, it's not called Family Vacation.
There's multiple ones, sir.
Yeah,
I
and
referenced
none of
Christmas
them are
Vacation.
called Family Vacation.
There's not National Lampoon's Vacation?
There's Vacation, but you always say Family Vacation. This is
I
just me
do.
being an asshole, and you said it around like Kevin or something, and I went, ugh, I want to say something, I want to correct him, but I didn't because I wasn't alone with you.
It's just called National Lampoon's Vacation?
Yeah.
Ah, really, sir? Because it's called National Lampoon's Vacation. But when I Googled National Lampoon's Family Vacation...
Well, right, that's
A lot
clearly
of
the
things
movie
come up.
that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's just not what it's called.
No, fair.
So I win,
You do win.
and I'll be a gracious winner. We're in the
I
car.
also
with-
like how you dropped down from 20% nicer to 12 to 17% last time you said
Yeah, where
it.
do you think we're at right now?
Probably about 8 to 9%.
Yeah, that's not that's
Still an improvement.
it's higher than I would have thought.
Yeah.
So we're back in the car with the hitchhiker, and Shirley is trying to talk to this guy about Jesus, but it becomes clear, like quickly, that this guy is more than that. This man thinks that he is Jesus, sent back to save humanity, and Shirley, you know, a modern Christian who's just waiting for the day Jesus comes back, can't even accept it when it's right in front of her. How modern Christian to like long for the day where we're all raptured, but if Jesus were to come back and be like, I'm Jesus, let's go to heaven, you'd be like, oh, but like the
I'd be like,
Bachelor's on
you're
tonight.
not him. Yeah.
I was
That's
just
interesting.
about to get a new house.
I know, like, I'm on my way to get that new Chick-fil-A sandwich. It's for you.
And I like that Britta gets Jesus be like, F that shit. Britta gets to have the upper hand here and show that she's the more welcoming one because she's still going to be nice to this guy. Back in the apartment, Annie tries to hang up that debate award or certificate and just sees that she's not going to be able to make this work. And I don't think she's at all in the wrong. She should have
No.
spoken up instantly that this is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, totally.
So then it is very, very sweet what Troy and Abed do to make it up to her. But again, it's just like them kind of on their flights of fancy and not willing to like ask their friend what she needs from them. That being said, the shadow puppets are great.
It's really cute. Yeah.
Were you ever a shadow puppet guy? Would you ever try to make puppets in the shadows like with your hands?
Yeah. I couldn't do very many, but I would make faces with them. Mostly in school when there was like a projector or something up, I'd always stick my hand in front of it and do stuff.
Yeah, there's even Count Spaghetti is the villain, and there's like a needle that is injected into him rapidly. And that's the first of the things that kicks off what's going to become this montage, which is obviously, I think, the standout moment of the episode.
Yeah.
And it continues with the Dean and Jeff stepping into one of those green screen karaoke rooms. They used to have a bunch of these in malls where it was like a music video, like you kind of like a photo
that'd be
booth.
so much fun to do. I've never
Yeah.
done one like this.
I don't think it's widespread as much anymore, but I remember when I was a kid, there was a tape of my sister in one, and it was like
Nice.
it was like locked down.
That's
It was
fantastic.
nowhere to be like. She made sure nobody was watching it. And the Dean has planned out every moment of this day to a T. He knows what song they're doing. He's seen exactly how it's going to go in his head. And they begin their performance of Kiss from a Rose. And what
In
is there to
matching
say
clothing.
about this that doesn't speak for itself? It's just, man, it's been so clear that Jeff and the Dean have so much comedic potential. And this episode capitalizes it in a way that's somehow still so much more bizarre than you would ever think. The fact that they're both singing it and like kind of singing it, and the Dean's like coaching Jeff through it, matched with like the cheesy karaoke backgrounds that keep changing behind them. God, I love it so much. Joel's
And it makes it
pained
so much
face.
funnier because like you said, like they're kind of seriously trying to sing it, and that makes it so much funnier.
Yeah, and the fact that then they find ways to effortlessly blend it with the other storylines. First, Pierce making a paint snow angel on the ground as he's just high as balls on paint fumes, and he pictures himself playing piano to the song with hula girls. And if you pay really close attention to this, it's so clear the way that Ludwig has played around with this track to add in piano flourishes during this point and to change the style to go with what's going on screen, but keeping the heart of the song that Jeff and the Dean are singing. I think it's done so well. They talked on the commentary about filming these parts of the episode like with click tracks. They wouldn't have the track. They just had like click tracks to like sway to, and that it was really hard to put together, but I think it really paid off well.
That's awesome.
And it's even cuter the way that they incorporate Troy and Abed's story along with the montage with what sounds like Troy beatboxing over it. I think it's so cute and wholesome, and it just effortlessly ties all of these things together that are pretty separate stories at first.
They are, and I think that's what makes it even, sweeter, is that it's the SETI group is all, they're still all connected even when they're doing their own thing.
Yeah, and it would have been one thing to just cut back to Shirley and Britta and have the music drop out and have them singing Jesus loves marijuana, but it goes along with the song,
It's very impressive how they work that in.
And drinking human blood. Britta's just grooving to it. Pierce is twacked, and my favorite moment is that he looks up on the wall and hula house paints. It ties so many things together. You see why it's hula girls. You see, I don't know how it's just a beautiful trip sequence.
It's great.
Community has done a couple of things like this, and I think this is probably the best one. I definitely prefer Pierce's storyline when it gets weirder here than when it's just him being, oh, whoa, look at me, look at this wire. Britta starts to get turned off at the drinking human bloodline. That starts to cross the line. And man, the zooms in and out of Jeff and the Dean while the background behind them stays the same. It's sickening, and it's such a good choice. It's so dramatic, and Annie's heart is being warmed by what Troy and Abed are doing, but it's still, like I said, her conflict is valid. Yeah. And she needs to speak up about it. So it's good that she still gets to after this, that it doesn't just end with her being like, oh, well, I guess we'll make this work anyway. I also love that Jeff, after a couple bars of the song, can't help but get into performing it. And it's so sitcom to do an episode where, like, disgruntled guy gets paired up with character he's annoyed with, ends up having a surprisingly good time by the end of it. I thought they did that well without ever pushing it too far. He's into it for like a second, and then as soon as they start talking again, the Dean can't help but drop how he got Jeff into this situation that he's in, and it totally turns around completely back to where it was, if not worse.
Yeah, I love the as soon as Jeff starts to warm up to it, and he's like, that really was kind of fun. The Dean just kind of bursts it all. I can't get over them wearing the matching clothes, too. That's hilarious. The Dean went to the store where Jeff clearly bought that outfit, followed him there, then after confronting and saying we're going to spend time together, then goes and buys those clothes and changes into them.
Yeah, hilarious. I really like it. Shirley and Britta also have no choice but to kick Jesus out of their car when he gets ready for his second song, Don't You Do It, his like Bob Dylan-esque take on race mixing. And it's awful and it's not funny, but the way that like Jesus, like as he's about to say what his song is called and about, he looks at Shirley and then Britta as if they're a race mix.
Yeah.
and almost also as if he's like, oh, you guys will get a kick out of this one because it's about you. Don't you do it. It's not funny, but it is kind of funny. And for some reason, this makes Britta and Shirley closer to each other. They find their common ground over it. If anything, it's the storyline that kind of fizzles out, but I still don't mind it. It's a really cute storyline for those two characters. Back at Annie's old apartment, the landlord walks in to find Pierce. I thought this was pretty dumb. I don't mind him pretending to play piano on the boxes, but the way Chevy delivers the good evening, Senator, and your request, it wasn't like druggy enough. He should have been like gargling or like barely able to get words out. This was a little too silly. It is very Griswoldian. And the Dean's ready to start a second song because he paid for a full hour, but Jeff goes farther down the line. This episode, I think I said it about Advanced Gay last week too. They're getting really good at pacing between
Yeah.
storylines.
Much better.
Every one is full of funny bits, but like every little 30-second segment has been one of those three storylines moving it forward and then taking you to the next one before it can get stale. And I really, really like the way that it's paced.
Yeah, I even like, because you were saying the Britta and Shirley storyline kind of fizzles out, but they still stopped it with a third left of the episode, which I think was a good choice.
That's true. I like when Jeff starts to get upset at the dean because he's been looking through his information to figure out where he's going. He even knew that Jeff would be at the sale that he was at. He knew all of it off of Jeff's emails. And the dean goes right to talking about the Patriot Act and how he's trying to bring down terrorism and the nation is at war. And then it turns into a very, very funny fight scene that's caught on the karaoke room camera with the same green screen effects as when they were singing. It's a really funny visual, and I'm glad that they were like, no, we can wring just a little bit more joy out of that visual. Let's make them beat each other up or make Jeff get him in a headlock and give him a noogie. It's a fun way to cap that off. Meanwhile, the puppet show is finishing up for Annie, and Annie feels a lot better because of it, or at least I feel like she's reminded of the good that's underneath everything Troy and Abed are trying to do, and she's like gonna make it work. She tells them that she'll make it work. And she wants to build the entire apartment out of blankets, so she runs to what she thinks is the linen closet, and we see for the first time the Dreamatorium, where, of course, we've been recording every episode of this podcast that you listen to right now. This is I almost feel like seeing the Dreamatorium is kind of, we've had this intro period of season 3 that's had some high hits and some low middle efforts, and the rest of the season is that way, but I feel like this visual kind of kicks off what is season 3.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Remedial Chaos Theory is a standout early on, but this is really kind of where it sets the rest of the bearings.
There's a lot of introspective Abed stuff this season, and a lot of it involves the Dreamatorium. And the season goes down a lot of weird... It plays with the reality of the show in different ways than they have before, and this is kind of the start of that, or at least it feels like it to me.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I've never quite understood the logistics of it because it's supposed to be like a holodeck situation, but obviously it only changes in their mind. I feel like A, that could get tiresome after a while, and B, why the need for the grid thing?
Yeah.
And justifiably, even though it's cool and it becomes something cooler in the series, Annie is really upset about this. They have this whole second bedroom, and they won't let her live in it. They're making her live in the living room where they all watch TV covered in laundry, so they can have this little playroom. Obviously, Troy and Abed are a little hurt that she yells at them about this thing because it's something that they think is dope. But thank God Annie, realizes that you guys could be jumping through a few more hoops for me if you want me to live here, and I'm sure, help pay for rent and shit like that.
Totally. Yeah,
So,
I think that she's totally justified in her reaction here. Because it is, as much as they say it's not a playroom, it's literally a playroom for the two of them to go in and play. So,
and what a great character dynamic to involve Annie with Troy and Abed like this, because Troy and Abed do need someone who can fall into their whimsy the way that they do, but is able to be like, you guys need to change this up a little bit, or you guys are missing something. She, like she says here, can be the adult in the apartment, and I think that's a cool dynamic to incorporate into the third season of a sitcom.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
She gives an ultimatum and says it's got to be her or the Dreamatorium, and Troy and Abed aren't willing to fight that right away. They'll take it to court. They talk about writing a contract or on their lease in crayon that the Dreamatorium goes with the apartment.
So they said, if it's between you, we pick the Dreamatorium. It's non-negotiable. Yeah,
Annie continues to stand up for herself and says something that I think is great, where she's like, all the time I'm introspecting on myself for being too overbearing for other people, and that's become a complex that she can't let herself speak forward when she really needs to because she's worried about how she comes off. I think that's a good moment, and I think this is all played off well. And Troy and Abed immediately feel bummed out because they want Annie there. They want their friend to live there, and they don't want her to be mad at them.
Yeah.
I could have done without the candy cigarette bit. That was a joke that I thought was
I think that's a funny one.
Because I think the moment in Remedial Chaos Theory where he acts like he's going to smoke a cigarette and starts eating the candy cigarette instead is really funny. I didn't really need the callback, but I'll give it to you. It's not offensive. It just didn't make me laugh for some reason.
That's fair.
Annie's landlord gets Pierce some water, and Annie walks in to see what's happened since Pierce has been in charge for the last couple hours. And I really like what the landlord says here. He's like, as far as security deposits go, I've won the lottery. And he was like, you're lucky that you're only losing money on this. You could have died. And Pierce here is very twacked, as the kids say.
Well, and he does such a good job with it here that he could have delivered the line earlier like that.
And like I said, Alison Brie's all over this episode. She has to come be the cap off of this storyline too. Mm-hmm. And I really like that. The Pierce Annie dynamic has always been one that has more meat on it than you would expect. And for Annie to come in and immediately understand, like, Pierce, I'm just glad you're okay, even though you've just made this harder for me, is really sweet to see when there's this whole, like, clearly Annie isn't so overbearing that she can't interact with people because she cares for Pierce so much when it's not really justified.
Yeah, totally.
However, this is one of the things I hate most about the entire episode. They completely ruined that by having a not funny joke of Pierce trying to kiss Annie.
Yeah.
And then saying that it doesn't count. Yeah. Pierce and Annie's relationship is different than that, and it's always been pretty good, even though they like take advantage of each other, or Pierce takes advantage of Annie. It's never been sexual, really, and I didn't like that joke at all. It was just weird.
Yeah, I think that's unnecessary.
And it wasn't weird and funny, it was just weird. Mm-hmm. But Annie and Pierce show up at Troy and Abed's apartment, and they see what's become Annie's room that Troy and Abed got Britta and Shirley to help them put together, and it's a really, really sweet gesture. They realize how
it is.
And I was also a little confused. Did they say they kept the Dreamatorium? So where is it? Are they sleeping in the blanket fort now? Is that what
they moved
said?
their bunk beds to the blanket fort.
Okay, right. They can't really get out the right way why they did what they did or how they're sorry, but it's a really genuine apology, and it's a nice moment. And, I think there is something to your theory, not just about it being Friends references, but to this kind of being one of Community's takes of Community does a sitcom episode. Because there's hugs and the storylines kind of feel split up in the way sitcoms are often split up. But it works really well. It's like them doing a really good sitcom episode. But maybe they were doing it more knowingly than just doing like a sitcom episode.
I think so.
And the little bit, Annie's unhappy about the way her pillows are put out. And Abed makes it clear that he said that to Shirley, and Shirley let it slide.
And Shirley kind of shakes her head no, like, don't put this on me.
Yeah, and just with one line, and you can give it just to Abed, but you also got to give it to Yvette. The two of them sell that moment really well to tell a whole story that they don't even say. And that's my kind of writing on this show. I love that.
Yeah. So the Dreamatorium is more important to us, but you're more important than our room.
Pierce has some line. Other than when he's like in that room by himself, I feel like his lines swing and a miss. But for whatever reason, Pierce saying, this is all gay code,
that was kind of funny.
Made me laugh. It isn't, but it is. It's just because he's so lost in every room.
Yeah.
He's even not standing as close to them as everybody else.
He really isn't.
I feel like it's clear that Chevy is on his way out. And it's so sad that instead of him just being on his way out, Harmon was on his way out first.
Yeah.
Here we get the things. What's the iron for? The water in the iron. I love that they tried to get out a Kool-Aid stain with the opposite color Kool-Aid. Is there really a such thing as opposite colors?
Technically, yes, because there's a color wheel.
Well, you get colors that you put together that make another color, but I don't think that means that the base colors are the opposite of each other.
Like red and blue are opposites.
Why?
Because red is a very warm color that's like somewhere on the color wheel, and blue is on the opposite side because it's a cool color.
I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Ask Lil. I bet they know.
Okay. I also like the bit how they resolve it so well, Troy, Abed, and Annie, and then they're able to jump right into what their relationship is going to be like now that they've kind of laid some ground rules. Because immediately Annie's back to having fun with them and seeing the light in them. And the way Abed shows off like a fork wound that he has from Troy jousting him with one. And Annie's like, oh, that's infected. That looks really bad. And the turn on everyone's face is really funny.
Yeah.
Jeff shows up. He wasn't sick. He brought, beer? Like a shit ton of beer?
Is that what that is? I really didn't know.
He has a bunch of cans. And he says that he faked being sick. He's honest. And everyone's like, that's fine. We don't care. Maybe they only don't care because they know that.
I think they don't care because of the tweet. Yeah,
but it's still funny that Jeff goes through so much shit, both with the hospital thing and having to put up a day at the mall with Craig for nothing, and then they find out anyway. Which who couldn't have predicted that they would
Britta
see this
singing
video.
it in that voice and like body rolling at him is so funny.
And the way Joel reads, like, he tweeted it. It's a little silly, but almost this moment reminds me of Roxanne at the end of Remedial Chaos Theory, where Jeff is like obviously like, oh my god, but he's kind of like partying with the group too. And then Pierce just looks like a lost little boy.
He looks so confused.
He doesn't even move. You can tell that
He's
Chevy's
holding
at the
still.
point. Chevy's at the point where he does not want to be there. And that's so sad because last week was a good Pierce episode. And Kevin Lanigan definitely commented, talking to us about it, that it might be the last good Pierce episode.
Yeah.
And maybe the only good Pierce episode. Honestly, the best Pierce episode is the lie detector one after he's died.
Yeah, that's one of the best ones.
So we fade out on the group having a good moment together, but I love the added touch of fanning up to the moon, Dean Pelton's face showing up in the moon, singing a little last refrain, giving a wink, and I like how he closes his eyes and then fades away.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful, bizarre moment that takes you back into the bizarre moment of the montage earlier, because this episode, even though all the plots are pretty small potatoes, they have found a way to put in some bizarre community into it that no other sitcom could ever do. Just like how I was ranting about season 3 of Arrested Development being so silly.
Yeah.
Community is getting a little sillier, but it's so patently Community that it just works.
Exactly. They, last season was the one where they really figured out, okay, here's how we can do this thing consistently and keep getting weirder and weirder. And I think in season 3, they definitely know how to do that. And I think they're kind of falling back into doing it the right way the last few episodes.
So that's the end of the episode, like, main. What do you think of the end tag? We get a little bit more of the puppet show.
I think it's funny. And the end is really funny with Britta and Jeff watching the puppet show and being super into it. I love it.
It's cute that Annie gets involved with it this time. And it's funny that they've been probably making them watch it for like a half hour or longer. And Britta's like, we should probably make them stop this. And they said that this was inspired by, I think Megan Gans was the one who said that she was at like a hipster party and people did this and like made people watch it. People made them watch them do a puppet show at this like hipster party
That's so
that she
weird.
went to, which almost makes this end tag even funnier.
Well, and what makes me laugh so much about Britta's line is she's like, do you think in like 5 minutes or so we should stop? Like, not right now. She's like, well, let them keep going a little bit, but
they've kept them entertained. And they brought Jeff to slight tears because he really liked Horsepot 3000. A little silly, but it's a funny one. It's a slight end tag. It almost is the problem that I've had with other ones where I wish instead of going back to a bit from the episode, they do, and they often do, like an end tag that's just its own bit. But this is still funny. I still like it.
I think so too.
I wonder how much they had to pay to show the actual Star Wars logo on those sheets. I'm sure there was copyright on that.
There's got to be, right?
But that's the end of the episode, and I'm going to be honest with you, talking through it, I think I liked it more and found more to appreciate about it.
Definitely.
I like this one. Ooh, I think it's Remedial Chaos Theory, and then damn near a tie for me with Competitive Ecology in this one.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's going to be Remedial Chaos Theory, Advanced Gay, and then probably this one above Ecology.
It's a good episode. It's a solid episode, and it's giving me more faith that season 3 is going to continue to go weirder, but it's still got so much heart and so much of the laughs that make Community what it is that I'm happy. Let's talk MVP.
Okay.
I have a couple honorable mentions.
Sure.
And first, I'll get the upset out of the way. I have an honorable mention for Dean Craig Pelton. This is the most he's been focused on maybe in an episode yet, and he really sells it. The reason I'm not going to give it to him is although he's one of my favorite parts of the episode, I don't think it's his episode.
Sure.
I also want to give an honorable mention to Jeff. I think Jeff, the straight man to any comedic duo, is just as important as the off-the-wall zany one. And every joke that Jim Rash has that sings in this episode is because of how well Joel plays off of him. So I want to give Jeff a shout out. And I also really like the fake out in the beginning. But my MVP this week's going to be Annie.
Yeah.
Because I think this episode gets Annie in a way that they don't always, and they do it really well, and she gets to stand up for herself. She's growing up. I'm sad because I know it'll probably regress again in a future episode. But as for this episode, I thought it did Annie just about as well as they could have. I really like the plot line that she has and the way that she fits into all the parts of the episode. So it's Annie for me. What about you?
Annie was my honorable mention. I think she's
Sure.
great in this. I also think Jeff deserves some recognition. He was really good in this episode. I gave it to Dean Pelton though. That was
Sure.
I was
Easy.
tossed
I
up
get it.
between the first ones, but yeah,
That's why I
he
said
was
an
so
upset.
funny.
I could have easily given it to him.
I was pretty sure you were gonna go with the Dean
love the
until yeah, really good. But good episode overall, like really solid. I'm happy
I
that
would say
season
this
3
is a
back.
borderline great episode. This is like for most of the episode, it's a B+ for me. But then the montage that puts
Brings
all
it
of
up.
it together so seamlessly, it's borderline A-.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
What do we got to do to end this thing up? Next week, we're talking about a phenomenal and bizarre episode. Documentary filmmaking. Someone please tell me if it's like, if you put a little spin on it with like a redo or if it's redux. But it's the second documentary filmmaking episode. It's the one where they make a commercial for Greendale. Troy and Britta say, meeting new people or meeting different people, high five like 100 times.
Yeah.
It's where Jeff falls into the role of Dean Craig Pelton. It's a good episode.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
So excited to get into it. Send us in trivia, episode, MVP, and your favorite funny moment to can'tdisappointpodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do here, consider supporting us at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. As little as $5 gets you weekly extra content. I've been going around some ideas in my head. I think I'm going to be thinking up some extra content for the Patreon real soon. You also get the live pre-show every week. You get the show early every week. And it helps support us in all kinds of ways. And there's all kinds of ways to support us over there. Steven, where can the people hang out with us if they're, more the looking for a ride on the side of the road type?
If you want to hashtag Annie's Move Us, you can find us on Twitter at You Can't Disapod. We're also on Instagram at Can't Disappoint Podcast, hashtag Annie's Move. And we're also on Facebook and YouTube under the name You Can't Disappoint a Podcast, hashtag Annie's Move.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Tweeting it. I love doing this. I love hopping into Greendale every week. And Steven, you're special.
Aw.
What's my percentage at the end of this episode? Did I hold up very well?
I think you brought it back up, so you probably ended about like 12 to 13% nicer.
Wow. And
That's solid.
That's like 80% nicer than I've ever been to you.
It's true.
From inside the Dreamatorium, Black Lives Matter, get vaccinated. The CDC's saying wear your mask again in crowded places, so keep wearing your mask. We love you. Don't huff
We love
paint
you a lot.
unless you're intending to huff paint. I'm Zach.
I'm Steven.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Baby, I can face him in a kiss from